Danita Stokes, president of HAG.
It's bad enough that Sega Genesis has the most 16-bit games, but this new Sonic the Hedgehog, oh, he really does my doilies. They say he's incredibly fast. Well, what's the hurry, mister? And about his attitude. Smarty pants! Why can't it be more like that nice boy Mario? Oh! Little brat!
I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played a glitchy or hacked game before. However, I don't think I want to play any after the experience I had. It started on a nice summer afternoon, and I was playing Sonic Unleashed, and I like how you get to explore the towns in it. Until I noticed out of the corner of my eye that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox. I paused my game to go see what it was, and the only thing in the mailbox was a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside and I looked at the note, and the first thing I realized that what it was that it was from my dear friend Kyle. Let's just call him that, whom I hadn't heard from in 2 weeks. I know that because I recognized his handwriting. And though what was weird is how it looked. It looked badly written and scratchy and somewhat difficult to read, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and did it in a hurry. And, well, this is what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late, and I was hoping that you could do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me. And if you don't destroy the CD, I'll come after you. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy this disc and you'll destroy him, but you better do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game. It's what he wants. Just please destroy it. Kyle. Well, and I thought to myself, that was certainly weird. Even though Kyle is my best friend, and I hadn't seen him in 2 weeks, I didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would hurt anyone, or do anything to him, or me. After all, it's just a game, right? I was wrong. After that, I looked at the disc, and it looked like a generic computer CDR disc, except it had black marker on it written sonic.exe, and it was much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from somewhere else, like a pawn shop or eBay. And when I saw Sonic on the writing of the CD, I was actually excited, and I wanted to play it since I'm a big Sonic fan. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. And when the title screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic the Hedgehog game. I was like, awesome, because like I said, I like the classics. The first thing I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start. There was a split second when I saw the title image turned into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying before cutting it back. I remember what the image looked like in that split second before the game cut to black. The sky was dark, and the title emblem was rusted and ruined. The Sega 1991 logo was now instead Sega 666, and the water had turned red, like blood. But the freakiest thing that was in that split-second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding, with two glowing red dots staring right at me, and his smile had stretched wider to the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed by that image when I saw it, though. I figured it was just a glitch and forgot about it. After cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so, and then Another weird thing happened. The save file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up, and I was like, the hell? What's this doing in this first Sonic game? Then I noticed something off. The background was the dark cloudy sky of Bad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic CD, and there were only 3 save files. The music was from Creepy Caverns of Winter music from Earthbound, only was extended and seemed to have been in reverse. And the image from the save file where you see a preview of the level you're on was just red static for all 3 files. What freaked me out more was the character select. It only showed Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now I was sure something was up. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic the Hedgehog game? That's when I realized that this wasn't a glitchy game. It was probably a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared, or at least I tried not to be. I told myself that it was just a hacked game, and there's nothing wrong with that. Shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked file 1 and chose Tails. And when I selected Tails, the game froze for about 5 seconds. And then I heard a creepy pixelated laugh that sounded like an awful lot like the guy from Final Fantasy before cutting to black. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more. Then it showed the typical letting the level tiding thing. Except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red, and the text showed only Hill Act 1. The screen faded in and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. I started playing and had Tails start running like you would in any other classic game. But what was odd was that Tails was running along the level and there was nothing but flat ground and few trees for about 5 minutes. However, that was when the peaceful music started to lower down in a slow, deep tone. Very slowly as I kept going, I suddenly saw something and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. Tails actually had a shocked and saddened look on his face that I had never seen him have before, so I had to move along. And he kept that worried look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past him, looking more and more worried as the music lowers and he moves past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. Some of them looked like they were killed by somebody in a rather gruesome way. A squirrel was hanged on a tree with what appeared to be his entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit. I actually felt sick, and when I saw the massacre, so did Tails. After a few more seconds there were no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails, and I continued. After a minute passed after the music stopped, Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen with his back against Tails, with his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered. Obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him, if not acting as if he was totally oblivious to Tails' presence, Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make a move. So this had to have been a cutscene. Suddenly, I began to have a growing feel of dread. As Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention, I got this strange feeling that Tails was in danger or something bad was going to happen. I heard a faint static sound growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. A foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black, with those red glowing dots, just like that title image. Though there wasn't a smile when that happened, the screen turned to black and the static sound was off. It stayed black for about 7 seconds, and then white text appeared forming a message saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" At this point, no, I don't want to admit it, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me. When I was taken to a different level with the level title now saying Hide and Seek. This time I was in an Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his mind, and he actually looked at me. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted me to get out of the area he was in fast as possible. I actually started to get freaked out by this. I mean, Tails, a video game character, Tails, a fictional character, was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell me to get out of there. Actually telling me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could and made him run as fast as I could. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow at the Ark of Robotnik from Sonic Adventures 2 was playing, and as I made Tails trek through the desolated forest trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from, suddenly I heard a creepy laugh again, that awful Kefka laugh, right after 10 seconds from past. As I helped Tails run through the forest, I started seeing flashes of Sonic appearing everywhere on the screen, and again with those black, red eyes. The music changed to that suspenseful drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying. Sonic wasn't running. He was actually flying. The flying pose his sprite was when making looked very similar to the Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD, except it was just Sonic and he had the black and red eyes again. Only, this time, he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was giving the poor little fox as he gained up to him. Suddenly, Tails tripped. Another cutscene appeared. The music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails lay there and actually started to cry for about 15 seconds. And the scene was actually upsetting to watch, and I don't want to admit it, but I teared up myself. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror, and blood started to come down those blackened eyes of Sonic's as Sonic's grin slowly grew from his face, and he looked down at the horrified fox, and I could do nothing but watch. And just in a split second, Sonic lunged at the Tails right before the screen went black. There was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds, and the text returned, only this time it said, "You're too slow. Want to try again?" And then that god-awful laugh came with it. And I was shocked, honestly. How could this happen? In this game, did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails were supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook the feeling off as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but the TV screen itself, which was flickering with red static. Tails' expression scared me. It honestly did. His eyes, well, they were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face, trying to ignore it. I picked Knuckles next. That laugh came again, and the screen cut to black, and they stayed there for another 10 seconds, but this time the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now, and I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or a hack, or some kind of sick, twisted joke. Maybe that my friend Kyle was pulling, or anything really, but despite my fear of what happened next, I stupidly kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of the scrap brain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had the dark, reddish, cloudy sky, but it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like Geiger's theme right after you beat Pokey in Earthbound. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid just like Tails did, though not as much, or rather he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall just like Tails, and looked as if he wasn't sure about going on. But I made a move anyway. He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple times, and then that maddening laugh came again. Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something horrible was going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated walking down this blood-stained road, but I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and red eyes, and then red static appeared again. When the static vanished, showing nothing but black screen with text saying, "Found you." I hate to admit it, but I was scared now. Sonic had found Knuckles already. What was going on? And after that, the red static came again, and then I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time, that high-pitched squealing from Silent Hills 1 final boss was playing. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it wasn't, honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles, and what appeared to be pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. That terrible laugh went off again, and then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again, and then I made him punch again, and Sonic vanished again, laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more, and even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was toying with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees, clutched his head, sobbing. I honest to God felt his agony. And Sonic was driving us both crazy. And then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles. And
so many souls to play with. So little time. Would you agree?
and the screen went black with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for 3 seconds. Another text appeared. So many souls to play with. So little time. Would you agree? What the hell? What is going on? I started to think that Sonic was actually... I actually started to think Sonic was trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think like that. I was brought back to the main menu, and this time, the second file box had Knuckles in the TV screen. His red fur was darkened to a reddish gray. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too. and he had a look of sadness on his face. And I began to think that those are actual characters trapped in those TV screens on the save files. But I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So I shut off the game, and I took a break. I decided to take a nap. But I wish I hadn't, because I began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in a pitch black darkness. Though I was under the light given off by a lamp that hung high above my head. I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us, help us. And why did you give us to him? Run away before he gets you too." Their cries died out as I then heard Sonic laugh his laugh. It sounded like a lot of distorted Kevcott laugh. "You're a lot of fun to play with, kid. Just like your friend Kyle. Though he didn't last long." I was scared. I honestly was. And I'm not ashamed to admit that. And looking around for the source of the voice, I heard again, "It won't be long now until you join him and all my other friends." I saw him walking toward me, flickering in and out in several different directions. "You can't run, kid. You're in my world, just like the others." And then he grabbed me, and I saw his bleeding black, red-eyed, grinning face. And I woke up with a fright. And after a couple of hours, I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why this was happening. Maybe by playing the game I could find a way to stop this, I don't know. I was just so afraid that my fear brought me back to it. So I turned on the computer. I turned on the game and selected Robotnik next. I still thought that was weird, playing as Robotnik, but anyway, the level title appeared again, and this time it just said ... which I oddly found freaky. This time I was in some kind of hallway. It didn't really look like it was from any of the classic Sonic games, though it had the pixelated style. The floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were a dark grayish purple with animated candlelights and a few dark bloodstains here and there. And there was a dark red curtain hanging above the top part of the screen, and every 12 seconds or so, that red curtain sways very slowly, but whenever you're playing the game, you can barely see it move. The music was oddly pleasant, a piano playing a rather sad yet peaceful song, but I knew better. This was the song that played in Hill Act 1, only it was in reverse. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles, but he did have a suspicious look on his face, as if he was just a bit paranoid. He did a little animation where I just left him standing. He turns his head to the left and then to the right, at least twice, and then he shrugs at me, as if he has no idea where he was or what was going on. Even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen, I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his usual running animation. You know, when you've beaten him at the end of the classic Sonic game and then you chase him as we continued going through the hallway. I stopped at a long flight of stairs leading downward, and now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself. So I pressed onward. As I led Sonic down the stairs, I noticed that the walls had gotten darker and more reddish. The red torches are now eerie blue, and then he landed onto another hallway. And this one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. And then we headed down another flight of stairs. Down this was much longer. This one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. And then we headed down another flight of stairs down. This one was much longer. It took at least one full minute. And then I heard that horrid laugh. Again, and then the music slowly faded until it was quiet. And as it did, the walls turned a more dark red, and the torches were black flame now. When Robotnik landed onto the third hallway, I noticed he now looked really creeped out. Though he tried to hide it, I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Suddenly, Sonic popped up right in front of Robotnik, the same way he did Knuckles, and then the red static. The red static lasted for about 10-15 seconds, and then it showed me the most unpleasant image that I'd ever seen in my life. The image showed an image of Sonic standing in the darkness, where you can only see his face while his head and torso faded into black. He looked real. He honestly looked real. You could actually see the lines in his blue fur, as if you could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen. His face. Oh God, his face. It had the most horrifying smile I'd ever seen. And that's saying something, considering that I saw that image of the start of the game. His eyes were wide and black and once again crying blood. And there were two small glowing red dots in those black eyes staring right at me, as if staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic. It literally stretched to the sides of his face like a Cheshire cat, except Sonic had fangs. Very, very sharp fangs, much like the werehog's teeth, except more vicious looking, somewhat yellowish, and from the looks of it, he had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips and fangs, as if he had just ate an animal. I stared at that gruesome image for about 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off it, and I felt as if he was actually looking at me, smiling at me. That face, it just took 10 seconds for it to etch itself into my brain for good. And then the screen flickered with red static again 3 times, and then the third time I heard the demonic laugh, except this time it sounded distorted, demonic even. It went back into the image again, except this time there was a text again, and no, it was messed up. It was probably the most horrifying things I looked at since I had this game. The message read, "I am God." It was when I read that message while looking at Sonic when it hit me. I realized it right there and then that this Sonic, or this version, or whatever he is, was a monster. Pure evil, sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented monster. And all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, they're just his little toys. And the game is his very gateway into this chaotic, nightmarish world and the very hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open, an unnatural length, revealing nothing but literally spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red static came again, and this time much louder and distorted, so loud that it actually hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static screeched for a good 7 seconds, and then it stopped and showed nothing but black screen. As I sat there staring at the black screen, one last text came up.
Ready for round 2, Tom.
That laugh, now sounding more clear as if Sonic was right behind me, played again 3 times as I looked at the text in shock and confusion. Then I got booted back to the main menu, and this time the third save file had a TV image of Robotnik in the same tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin turned a dull gray, his mustache dropped and had blackened, his glasses broken, the blood is coming from them, and he had a more dead-like expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I actually cried for a bit. I pitied them for the agony that they were going through. I know it's a game, but I actually felt pity for them. And they were trapped in that game forever, within the game, forever tormented by that horrid hedgehog, and I always will be. And then the computer, it just shut off. I couldn't turn it back on no matter what I did. I sat there for maybe 25 seconds. I don't know. I just couldn't move. I was horrified by what just happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who play his game in more ways than one, and then when he gets bored, he drags them into the game. Literally drags you to hell, where he can play with you always as his toy. I can't get that game out of my computer. I think it's actually stuck in there, but at least I managed to turn it back on now. After I sat there for 25 seconds, I heard a voice right behind me like a whisper. Try to keep this interesting for me, Tom. I turned around to see where the voice came from, and what I saw made me scream. Sitting on my bed, staring right at me. I'm not kidding. It was a Sonic doll. A Sonic plushie. Smiling at me with bloodstains under its eyes.
Danita Stokes, president of HAG.
It's bad enough that Sega Genesis has the most 16-bit games, but this new Sonic the Hedgehog, oh, he really duffed my doilies. They say he's incredibly fast. Well, what's the hurry, mister? And about his attitude. Smarty pants! Why can't it be more like that nice boy Mario? Oh, little butt!
New Sonic the Hedgehog, only on the 16-bit Sega Genesis system.